In today's video, I'm going to share the full cost breakdown of our $6,000 winter trip to Iceland. If you're planning a trip or just curious, you can get a good idea of what things will cost from this video. I'll also share our itinerary and our planning process in case you want ideas of things to add to your trip or maybe what you'd rather skip based on the cost. Last week, I shared the full vlog of our trip, so if you want to check out the views of our epic adventure week in Iceland, then take a look at that video as well. I primarily talk about investing and proper financial management here on my channel, but I thought I'd mix it up a bit and share some of our personal experience and the why behind investing, since this trip was fully paid for from the gains that we've had in our investment portfolio. Investing has been game-changing for my husband and I. It's allowed us to feel comfortable upgrading things in our life to be what really brings us joy versus what we can simply afford. Now I'm feeling incredibly grateful as we've reached a point in our financial life where we can literally travel anywhere in the world and do what we want while we're on these trips. If you'd like to learn more about investing and how to get started, I do have an introductory course that can help you grow your wealth and generate passive income along the way, just as we've been able to do. Information is linked below, so check that out. Now, back to Iceland. When traveling, we do like to mix in both budget and bougie experiences, so we have a good feel of what the locals experience on the day-to-day life, but also get to treat ourselves with some luxury from time to time too. We will very rarely stay in one place for an entire trip. During this trip, we were gone for 6 days and 5 nights. We stayed at a different place every single night, including a few hotels, an Airbnb, and a bubble under the stars. Before going on any trip, I really like to watch YouTube videos and do some basic research of the country and the things to see while we're there, of course, and then look at the calendar next to the map of the area we're visiting and get a sense of where everything is and what we want to see next to the time that we have to see it in. I'm going to take you into my itinerary, show you everything we did, as well as the cost for each item, so let's jump into it. After looking at YouTube videos and seeing these awesome different places, we pull out the map and then I just say, okay, what are the key things we want to do and where even are they? So our big priorities were doing the ice cave and glacier tour. So that was over here on this side of the island. And we were landing in Reykjavik. And then the other thing I really wanted to do was the dive, the snorkeling that I didn't end up doing, but that is the 3 things that we really wanted to do. We were landing here. We wanted to do Diamond Beach as well as the glacier tour. So we kind of knew, okay, this is the area of the country that we're going to cover on this trip specifically. And this is a 5-hour trek. So just from Reykjavik to Diamond Beach and this glacier, it's 5 hours. So we knew this is going to be a mission to get there. Do we really want to do this? And the answer was a definite yes, but we knew we had to plan accordingly. So that was the overlying thing that helped me start the planning process, was just figuring out where are the things that we want to do. There were other things that were in other parts of the country because of course we don't know where anything is at first, but then we kind of narrowed it down to these after we were like, okay, what are the priorities? And we couldn't add in too much more since this is going to be such a big part of the trip. Looking at this map also helped me decide which bubble hotel option we wanted to do, because one was a tour of the South Coast and one was the upper side, maybe like this area. And that's called the Golden Circle Tour, I believe, which is the one we did. So since we were going to drive from Reykjavik to Diamond Beach, we knew that we would stop at some of these waterfalls, which are amazing and beautiful to see along the way. So I didn't want to do the same stops for the Bubble Hotel. So the Bubble Hotel allowed us to experience a couple of things over here because the tour picked us up in Reykjavik and then took us up maybe around this area, I think. And so we were able to see both the South Coast as well as the full Golden Circle, I think it's called. Once we knew the areas of the country we wanted to cover, then I went and looked at hotel availability, Airbnb availability to kind of figure out where we wanted to sleep and how it would all work together. So this is what we actually came up with. I keep saying we, but I did do the planning of this. My husband was just like, whatever. He is good to go with the flow and happy to come along. He is more like he would show up in the country and figure it out along the way. I like to know what we're doing before we even get there. But let me know in the comments, what's your planning style? Do you like to wing it when you get to a new country, or do you like to have everything in place before you go? Okay, we were leaving January 1st, so we spent the first bit of our trip just traveling, getting there. I think it was an 8-hour flight or so. And then we knew we'd have to pick up the car and explore the town. We didn't know if we could check in early to our hotel, but I think we landed at 6 a.m. So we knew we would either have to sleep in our car if we were completely exhausted, or if we had the energy, we would explore. So luckily our hotel let us check in. It was super awesome because it was kind of like we got 2 nights, because we went and we checked in, we slept, and then we got up at maybe 1 or something, and then we went and explored the town. So it was really awesome. And then the next day is when we had that 5-hour trek. So with knowing that there's only about 5 hours of daylight when we went in January, so we knew we could maybe start driving in the dark, and then as the sun came out, we could explore some of those places we saw along the map, and then get to Glacier Lagoon by sunset. That was my plan. And unfortunately, we slept in. We didn't even think to set our alarms because we were like, we're not going to sleep in that late. But we slept until 11, so set your alarm. Our clock was like totally off. So unfortunately, we didn't get to see sunset at the Glacier Lagoon, but we did see it in the morning, so that was really nice. And we just kind of took our time seeing waterfalls and just enjoying the views on our beautiful drive. Fortunately, we had really great weather, so it was just a nice drive. My husband was a little nervous because there were parts that were really, really windy. But other than that, it wasn't too bad. So I think this is going to be dependent on the weather. It could have been completely icy, and maybe we would have had to change our plans. But yeah, that was our plan, to visit Diamond Beach if we had sunlight, and possible stops along the way. So we had these all in mind, but knowing it may or may not happen. Now, the reason we had to get there then is because the hike was the next day in the morning. So we wouldn't have had time to break it up. Maybe we could have, but we just wanted to get there, explore that area, and then wake up and get going to the tour. So that was our plan, the hike the next morning, which we did make it to. And before we did the hike, we stopped at Diamond Beach, and it was just completely beautiful. It was like cotton candy. So if you're going on an ice cave tour in that area, make sure you go to Diamond Beach in the morning. It's probably like that at sunset as well, I would guess. But the morning was just so beautiful. So highly recommend. Then we knew we were going to leave that area around 3 or so. And that's where we had to make that 5-hour trek back because we wanted to go snorkeling. So that's what we did. And we went to the Greenhouse Hotel. That was a great place. So we didn't go snorkeling. We just went straight to the Silica Hotel, which allowed us even more time there, which was nice. We got to get a workout in. That was our only workout, I think, that week. But that was nice to do. And then we went to the Bubble Hotel. This day was a day of tours because they picked us up at 12. And then they took us on the tour of that top part of the Golden Circle, ending at the Bubble. And we had stops along the way for food and places to pick up snacks and drinks and stuff for the Bubble. Then the next morning, they brought us back to Reykjavik, and we had a day there. We had the most delicious fish and chips there. And one thing I do regret not seeing, and I didn't even really realize how amazing this was until I got back and looked at other YouTube videos, but I do wish that we got to see the volcano because it's active and the lava is flowing and it just looks incredible. So we had so many things packed in. It really didn't work out for us to see it, but that is one thing, like looking back, I'm like, oh, that would have been so nice to see, but hopefully on our next trip, we will get to see that. Now let's get into the cost. Here's the overall breakdown of our Iceland expenses in chart form, and then I'll go through a more detailed line by line item so that I can really explain if I thought each expense was worth it or something that can maybe be skipped. But overall, our flight was our largest expense. I could not figure out how to get the dollar sign to show here. So this is $1,700, and it was 26% of our overall cost. Our sleep, so this is every night paying for a hotel or an Airbnb or something, that was 33%. We spent 2,250. And actually, this was the largest piece of the expense. Car rental, that was 6%. We spent $400. On a few different tours, we spent $600. That was 10% of our expense. Food and alcohol was $1,100 or so. We had to take COVID tests, both getting there and coming back. So that was $150. Uber to and from the airport, and then gas $188. So that was the overall of how our expenses looked. I think our flight definitely could have been cheaper if we were more flexible with the time frame, because I've seen pretty affordable flights to Iceland. So our flights were $1,600. This was, I think there's a couple things, like we also added a seat upgrade for $96. So that's why the chart reflects a different number. But I've seen flights for half this price if we were able to book more in advance. But unfortunately, this was more of a last minute trip, so we couldn't be too flexible. It just worked really perfectly in our schedules. And then our next highest priced item, so I sorted everything from highest to lowest cost, just so we can get those big ticket numbers out of the way to talk about them. And I'll let you know what I really thought was valuable. So $1,000, like I said, we like to mix in both bougie and budget things. This was definitely one of the bougie things that we did. It was a night in the Silica Hotel, but also I added on the package for us to have 5 hours at the retreat spa, which is just a really luxurious full experience. That's where we did the body scrubs and had the relaxation rooms and the more exclusive private Blue Lagoon area that not everyone has access to, only the people staying at the retreat hotel or the Silica Hotel. So if you didn't see that, I do show a little bit of that on our full vlog if you want to check that out. But we weren't even able to show much of the spa because it's like cameras off and all of that. So unfortunately, we just didn't get footage of that place, but it was really luxurious. One thing I would say, if you do decide to go to the or add on this retreat spa package, it was definitely worth it. I think it was, I want to say a $400 add-on. It was for my husband and I. One thing that we both really, we do get a little impatient. And one thing that was frustrating for us is we asked at the Silica Hotel if they had snacks over there, because we had just got to the hotel. We did a workout and then we rushed over to have our 5-hour spa experience. And they said there's food over there and all of that. So we went there and there is food, but it's like a sit down order type of thing. And that took like almost an hour of our time just getting like a couple small meals. And I think that was like $75 or $100. So it was really high priced, and also ate away at our time, which was the most important part of this whole thing. So be aware of that. We could have just grabbed a quick snack at the Blue Lagoon Hotel where we were staying. They had like sandwiches and stuff in a little cafe area that we could have just grabbed and ate in our little bus shuttle over. So if you're going there, just keep that in mind. I would definitely eat before you go to the retreat spa and have your time, because it just gives you more time to enjoy the full luxuries of the retreat add-on that you're getting. They do have different add-on options. They have a massage, like an in-water massage. I'm so glad we didn't do that, because the day we got there, it was so windy that if your skin was out of the water when you were in the Blue Lagoon, it was just so cold. You had to like keep getting underwater, like keep submerging your head and getting back out. We talked to another couple that did get the massage, and they just said they felt so bad for the people giving them the massage, and they had to keep dunking them to warm them up. I don't know. I like the choice that we made. It was really amazing. And it made staying at the Silica Hotel even more worth it, because we were right on site right there. We could go to the Blue Lagoon, and the Silica Hotel also has their own hot springs area. So we had access. We went through everything. Like we went into the full Blue Lagoon. We don't mind being around other tourists, other people like us that like to travel, but we also don't mind just like having solo time and being more exclusive. So we like it all. So we explored the full Blue Lagoon. We went in every single area. We also explored the more exclusive area, and it was all just so lovely. So
Highly, highly recommend if you do have a splurge night. And this is why we only did one night here. I didn't want to do like multiple nights and spend like thousands of dollars on the same experience over and over. So we just did one night there. Another high priced thing that we did was we stayed in the Bubble Hotel, and that was $919. They tie in a tour to the stay. You cannot separate them. We really just wanted to stay in the bubble and sleep under the stars and have that experience of being like sleeping outside but enclosed in a bubble. And unfortunately, you have to do the tour. But we actually really loved our tour. Our tour guide was amazing. She loved the country and she just knew so much about it. And she really just taught us so much and instilled this deeper love for the country than we even had to begin with. So it was really nice. I think we loved the tour just as much as we loved sleeping in the Bubble Hotel. This is another thing I would definitely say is worth it. We didn't, it was a little bit cloudy in the bubble, so there wasn't a ton of stars to view, and we didn't get to see the northern lights there in the bubble. So if that's what you're going for, if that's like the primary reason, which it kind of was for us, if we were to go again, I don't know if we would do this. We definitely wouldn't do the same one, but they have a couple of different options. But I do recommend it as a unique experience, something fun to do, and maybe it'll be a super clear night for you. Maybe you will see the northern lights. So there's a lot of chance kind of at play when you are booking this. So you really have to kind of think through. I think if I had to choose between the Silica Hotel and the Bubble Hotel, I would definitely pick the Silica Hotel. So if your budget is limited, I would choose the Silica Hotel over the Bubble Hotel. With the Bubble Hotel, the tours that we stopped at, we did stop at a different hot springs, which was awesome because we got to see another hot springs besides the Blue Lagoon and visit some places that we wouldn't have maybe stopped at if we were just touring the land by ourselves. So overall, it was really awesome. Let's see, this is our car rental. That's fine. We got dinged on our from them for having like the tiniest chip in our windshield that they say wasn't there before. We did a quick video of the car when we got there. So make sure you really look at the window because I'm not sure if that's one of those things they try to tag multiple people for, because that was $1,000 fee. Luckily, we did have insurance and that did cover it. If we didn't, that would have been $1,000 expense for these tiny little chip on the windshield. So make sure you look at your car really, really good, or at least take a good video of like every area. So you have that for later. Okay, our glacier tour. This was like almost $400. I looked for one that was a more private tour, not one-on-one, but not like a huge group of people. I think we had maybe 6 people on our tour in total. And it was just nice because that tour specifically tried to get you in when it was less crowded. I wanted to be able to just have a look around without it being like too full of people. So I thought it was worth paying a little bit more than like, I think a single, like the average one maybe would have been $225, but we spent a little more to get like a more exclusive tour. And our person was so good. They took us all through the ice cave, onto the glacier first, then into the ice cave, and all around. It was so awesome. This is definitely something you need a tour guide for, I think, anytime you're visiting, but especially it was our first time. We have no idea where to go, where the ice caves are, and for safety's sake, of course, you can't just be out there wandering around. And they're like deep in the glacier. You have to have a special vehicle to even get back into the glacier area. Because my husband and I typically don't do a lot of tours. We like to rent a car and just be off and explore on our own. But being in Iceland and wanting to understand our own limitations, like we were like, okay, this is like a completely different place. We need to respect this whole process and not just try to be rebels. So we went along with the tour and did not regret it at all. It was so amazing. This one, I really, in my mind, wanted to do a snorkel between the tectonic plates. There's this amazing area where you can just snorkel, and they say it's like the closest thing you can get to flying because the water is so crystal clear and you're just in this water but it was cold. And the water temperature does not change year round. It's like -3 degrees or something. I think it's really, really cold. So you have to wear a wetsuit, a dry suit, and just like they keep you protected in the water. But I was just like so cold the night. I was thinking about this the night before, which I had just booked this tour like 2 days before. And then the night before, I was just like laying there thinking about, I had like watched a YouTube video on this snorkeling thing. And I was just dreading it so bad. I was like, we are going to get out of there and freeze. Like thinking of taking our wetsuit off and being freezing cold with the wind blowing on us. And I was just like thinking it was going to be miserable. So I talked with my husband and he's like, it's really up to you. I'm good to go if you want to do it. Because this was like really high on my list of things I wanted to do, almost higher than the ice cave thing, because I love the water. But I just really chickened out mostly, and I didn't want to be uncomfortable. I was like over being cold. I'm a Florida person and I love being warm. I mean, I want to do it at some point, and I think in the summer it would be much better because even though it's still cold, it's not as bad from what I hear. So I think it's like 50 degrees instead of 30 degrees, and the day we were going to go was super windy. So I'm actually really glad we didn't do it, even though it's a waste of money. But the money was spent regardless. So I was like, okay, we can go and suffer and be miserable, or we can just skip it and enjoy our coffee here at this like nice hotel we were at and just take our time a little bit more. We kind of had back to back to back activities. So it was like one thing after another. And it was nice to just have a morning to chill and relax a little bit. Blue Lagoon Lava Restaurant. So at the Silica Hotel, they have a restaurant that's called the Lava Restaurant. They also have a Moss Restaurant, which is like a Michelin star restaurant, but both are super fancy as far as like the menu and the prices go. This was one I would say definitely skip it. I really wanted to have like one nice date night. When Carlos and I went, I was like, okay, we're going to be bundled in our snow gear the whole entire time. It's not really a place where you dress up and get cute. And I wanted, in my planning process, I was like, okay, I want to have a nice night together. So I thought it would be nice, but then we had this full 5 hour luxury experience in the retreat area. And then it would have been nicer to just stay in our comfy wear and then just go back to our hotel and maybe have like food in the room or something. But we went from like having this like oily, soft like skin to then like getting nice clothes on and doing my hair. And I don't think I did my makeup because like my skin was just like so fresh from that spa experience. Like there was better food in town, you know? So to sit down at a nice restaurant, the food was good. It wasn't the best ever. And so to spend $230 on a meal that was just kind of like, okay, this is just too much. To me, that was a pass. One night we did a booking.com. This was the Greenhouse Hotel. Definitely highly recommend. Super cheap and so cute and awesome. Inside this Greenhouse Hotel, there was a food court. So there's all these different places to get food from and drinks from, and it's so cute. I really loved our little stay here. It was so nice, and we had just driven 5 hours from our glacier hike and tour to get to this place. So it was so nice, and we made it just in time, like 30 minutes before the kitchen closed. So check what time the kitchens close if you are planning to eat out, because it's not as late as it is in the States. Okay, COVID test, whatever, that was boring. Speaking of, in Iceland, their COVID testing procedures were so amazing. I don't even know if they had a fee. I think this 150 was the fee in the States. But theirs was so fast. Like we waited maybe 3 hours for ours in the States, and over there it was like no wait at all. You like went in when you were scheduled. They saw you right then and there, and then you left. It was so easy. So props to them for having their ish together with that. Okay, so this other stuff, the rest of this stuff, I don't remember exactly every single thing. So that was pretty much the majority of the stuff. Food and alcohol is more expensive, but tipping really isn't a thing there. So you kind of factor that in. And also, it is an island that is far away. I could imagine it's just more expensive. So don't be too upset about that, basically. Oh, I will say one night we did use points for the first night at our hotel. We stayed at this amazing hotel, and luckily my husband had some points that we were able to use to stay at this Marriott. And so we only had to pay for parking. So our hotel thing would have been up a little bit higher if we did have to pay. All right, so the rest of this is just like a food and drink breakdown. I would say get some alcohol at a liquor store instead of ordering it from places because it's much more expensive, but that's just like a little way to save some money. So overall, you are going to spend some money, but you don't have to spend as much as we spent. You know, you don't have to do these like higher priced things. This really could have reduced our cost if we stayed at more affordable places. That definitely would have saved us some money, and if we did better on picking our flights. So there are ways to have this amazing experience on less, and definitely recommend looking into that. Like, don't avoid Iceland because everyone says it's expensive. There's ways to make it more affordable. You just have to get more creative and really research what you want to do in the places you want to stay.
Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below when you're going to Iceland, or if you've already been, or if you're just curious. Also, I'd love to know how much you've spent on your trip or what you're budgeting for. I have no idea what other people spent. I actually didn't see any of these videos before we went, so we didn't really have a good idea, except that anything anyone said was it's very expensive, which it was, but understandably so because it's epic and it's totally worth it. But remember to check out my investing course link below, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.